Oh,
Yo, what's up, Jennifer?
hi, Greg. You can't see me, just the background.
That's cool. That's a sweet background. I
Oh,
like it.
where it is? Oh, here. Oh, no. Oops.
Hey, there you go. Nice.
Oh, there. Ah,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm feeling good. Man, it's hot out here in Concord though. We like at
It's
100
very hot.
degrees.
Yes, it is.
What have you been up to today?
Today, I've just been watching shows on Netflix because it's back to work tomorrow for me.
Oh yeah, really? That's right. You said that you're back in the office. Okay.
Well, I've been off today and yesterday, and then Monday was um, a holiday.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
how are you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, working from home for Rubicon. Been enjoying that. They've been so supportive during this whole process,
It's
and I'm
good.
grateful, like just having this time to focus more on like my coaching business, and do stuff like this, and really kind of just.
Yes, I'm curious about this one.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to present this because I've come across this information for a few years, and like I've applied it in my life, and I've just seen such tremendous results. I'm like, I want to share this with everyone. Like everyone should know this stuff. Like, oh, what would it look like?
And something positive too to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I feel just in general, like this quarantine time is for a lot of people. Like, since we do have more time on our hands, like, hey,
Hmm.
people are using like Udemy and stuff to learn more skills and whatnot. So it's great that people are taking advantage of it.
Yep, it's great. So you said years?
Yeah, I came across this knowledge. I kind of started in late 2015, but really stepped it up in 2017 and like really started applying it and being like, oh yeah, okay, this is more than just information. Like, yeah, let's do this and make it experience.
I like that it's so, positive.
Yeah, and that's certainly one of the keys, and we'll be going into that tonight a lot about having the positive thinking and just thinking about
Yep.
consistently what you do want and the stuff that's good in your life.
Mm-hmm. Definitely need that nowadays.
Yeah. So what are you binging on Netflix right now?
It's funny because we said something positive, right? But I was actually watching The Keepers. It's
What's that?
heavy. Do you know what it's about?
Oh no, what is that?
It's not positive, but
Okay.
it's about this nun. She was killed 50 years ago, and some students of hers from that time were trying to investigate what happened. But
Hmm.
anyway, it's involved some of Catholic a Catholic priest was involved.
Okay. All
It's
right.
heavy. It's I shouldn't have watched this, but it's very informative.
Oh, it sounds like you're addicted. You got hooked, and now you can't.
I'm in the fifth episode and there's seven episodes. I need something positive. So,
That's right. Oh, there's a
working.
ton out there on Netflix, and like, oh my God, it's just so convenient. You just binge watch a whole season.
I know.
It's so easy. No need to wait.
Can turn out to be something, not a bad thing. Too
Yeah.
much of
Hey, that's like anything, right?
thinking.
Like we still got to have our discipline, and like not too
Yeah.
much, but it is a great resource.
I'll try to watch something light later.
Yeah, that's always what I'm looking for. Like I'm looking for the comedies and like just anything that makes me laugh and kind of relaxes my mind because with
Yep.
everything that I'm dealing with and just obviously what's going on outside, like
Yes.
that's all so serious and everything. Like I'm just trying,
Yes.
trying to have a damn laugh. That's what I love. That's what keeps me positive. Just
Yep. So what have you been watching?
So dude, that's the thing. Like I'm a huge sports fan. So
Oh,
that's been a challenge with everything being shut
yes.
now, and God, who knows when it's ever going to resume.
Yeah.
And same thing with like any kind of sports shows that like talk about sports, like they're pointless now because
I
nothing's
know.
going on. These dudes say the same thing every day. Oh my God, it's silly. But
So
it,
what
it
do you
is.
do then?
What's that?
What do you do then? Because there are no sports.
Yeah, that's what I said. So I have a lot more time to focus on what I'm doing. I'm also big, like I ran track and cross country through high school. And so I've always kind of like running's been a cool daily practice for me. And now I have like no excuse. Like, all right, Greg, you ain't doing nothing else. Go out and run. You got nothing. You can't say nothing. And then so I guilt trip myself into running like almost every day.
So you do still run outside every day.
Yeah, dude, that's the only time I get out of the house. That's like really what kind of breaks my stir crazy and keeps me like sane, being able to just run and exercise and get out of the house. Because other than that, like I've been pretty loyal to the shelter in place. What about you?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I haven't been out. Well, except if I have to do a grocery run. But other than that, I've been in here.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say the same thing. Like I do go to the grocery store as well. That's my only outing. But whenever I go out, I see so many damn cars out. I'm like, where are
I
these
know.
people going? Is there somewhere I don't know about? Like, what's happening?
Well, you know that not everyone's following the rules, so
Looks like the majority. I mean, but the fact is, like, everything's closed. So I don't. Are they just driving back and forth just to drive? Like, what the hell?
I know people just want to get outside, I think,
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
do whatever. So,
That's huge. Like I said, that's why I love just exercising, just to get outside and get a break from just being in the house and get some fresh air,
mm.
some beautiful nature.
Plus, less pollution. So,
That too. Yeah. No, there's a lot of good that's going to come from this. So we'll just
yep.
get there first.
I wish I could say that I've been exercising too, but no. I can always say that, I'm working because I also am working, but you're also working, but you still have time to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have more time in the day. No commute. No
That's
getting ready. No like. Basically, oh my God, it's so simple now for me. So I
true.
like, yeah, certainly. Like I said, a lot of extra hours in the day, and that's where the guilt comes in. Like, all right, Greg, you should be exercising. You should be running now. And I
You
listen
have
to that
more
voice a lot
time.
of times.
I know. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Is that something you're covering today too? Like sticking to your habit or something?
Yeah, well, that's certainly going to be included. And
Ooh,
let's just jump right into it. So I'm going to share my screen with you.
okay.
There we go. Okay.
I'm ready, Greg. I have my notes.
Okay, cool. Cool. So it's showing up for you. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. So creating a lasting change. And thank you, Jennifer, for being here. Thank you so much. It means so much to me that you've just supported me throughout these past few weeks and that you're actually here. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm excited to hear about it.
Definitely. All right. So to start, I just want to give us like a diagram as a way to think about our mind. This will just be a good reference point for you. So your mind is divided into two portions, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And together, the conscious mind and subconscious mind, they work together to control your body. So they determine your movements, your actions, and your behavior. And this diagram, it says just, it's real basic, but it's just going to be good for you to like refer throughout the presentation, just kind of like, oh, this is a cool way to think about it. Okay, so we're going to dive deeper now into the certain sections of the mind. So we're going to start with the subconscious mind. So it's responsible for 95% of your actions. It's how you're able to do so many things without thinking about it, such as breathing, brushing your teeth, maybe driving the same commute to work. So many things that just take little conscious thought. The subconscious mind responds to your dominant feeling, meaning it gets its cue to act from whatever you're feeling deep inside. And this is tricky because not everyone is always aware of what they're really feeling inside. On a surface level, they may say like, oh, I'm going to do that. I want to do that. But deep inside, they're really afraid. They're really scared to do that thing. And that's that feeling that the subconscious hears, and therefore it produces you to procrastinate or hesitate or whatever it may be, but prevents you from doing the action. Another characteristic of the subconscious is it's unable to distinguish between the past, present, and future. It believes whatever you're feeling, it's happening now. And this also gets us into trouble because I'm sure that you may have heard, or it's common for people, they're like continuing to think about a past moment that didn't go as planned, or maybe they regret, but that the subconscious thinks that that's happening now. So continuing to relive a past moment and those negative feelings associated with that, that keeps you stuck because the subconscious is like, oh, we're still in that, we're still there. It doesn't realize that that moment has moved on. We're somewhere new. And in the same way, think about the future. Oftentimes, we're guilty of worrying about what's going to happen in the future, thinking of fearing the worst case scenario, envisioning stuff that's not real, but we're creating it and being like, oh, that would be terrible. Again, that translates into worry, and that worry creates fear in the subconscious, and all that does is ends up keeping you stuck. It keeps you in the same place where you're in. Fortunately, though, this characteristic is going to be something that we're going to take advantage of, and I'll be explaining that a little bit later on. And then one more characteristic of your subconscious is it's unable to reject. Whatever you're feeling, it assumes that's true. It assumes that's certain. It can't say like, oh no, that's not a real thing. Like, no, it thinks whatever you're feeling, like it, though, that must be what's happening now. So again, those envisioning that worst case thing, using your imagination to think of something like, oh, that would be the worst thing that could happen. Your subconscious thinks that, oh damn, that's what's happening. That's awful. And puts you in that state of fear and serves to keep you stuck. However, being unable to reject anything is something also that we can use to our advantage. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Did you have any questions on that slide?
No.
Not now. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to move into your conscious mind. So it's referred to as your thinking mind. It's your ability to think whatever you want in a given moment. You just, whatever you want to think, you can think it. And whereas your subconscious responds to your feelings, the conscious mind responds to your thoughts. And the conscious mind has 6 faculties. We have your will, which that's your ability to choose what you pay attention to. Perception, which is the way you choose to look at something. Your intuition, which is sensing something beyond your basic 5 senses. Reason, what you make of something. Memory, which is your ability to recall something. And this is another one that gets people into trouble because they may be guilty of continuing to relive a past moment that they didn't like, that they wanted to be different, that they regret or they have doubt about. But as we talked about before, the subconscious doesn't know the time. So if you're continuing to think about a past moment that you didn't like and you wish were different, the subconscious feels those feelings and just thinks it's still happening now, and that's what keeps you stuck. And then the final faculty is imagination. And this is your ability to think absolutely whatever you want. As I was saying before, this tends to get people in trouble. They're fearing that worst case scenario, envisioning what they don't want, envisioning what they're afraid of, which again creates fear. But imagination is actually going to be the key for creating what you do want. And we're going to learn about that in a few slides. Do you have questions on this slide?
No.
Okay. Okay, so reprogram your subconscious mind. So there's 2 ways to reprogram your subconscious mind. One is through a highly charged emotional event. Any event in your life that's jam-packed with emotion can cause a sudden change in your subconscious belief and therefore your way of being. However, a highly charged emotional event is not something that we can create on demand. Fortunately, the other way to reprogram your mind is, and that's through repetition. The consistent thinking about and or writing of an idea, saying an idea aloud, causes it to enter your subconscious mind. As your subconscious surrenders to your persistent attention to an idea. And that's what we're going to be going over next. So reprogramming your subconscious through repetition. Okay. So one way to do this is through a process called autosuggestion. And autosuggestion is the process of repeatedly saying aloud and or writing down what you want to accomplish in the future, but in the present tense. For example, if your goal was to earn more money at work, you could say something like, I'm so grateful now that I am earning $100,000 for my services. Again, the key is there, you're saying as if it was the present tense. It's happening now. You can do autosuggestion. You can involve that in maybe if you have a meditation practice, maybe you just want to be talking in front of the mirror, or it could be something like every day when you write up, or maybe at lunch, you just write down your thing. I'm earning $100,000. I'm earning $100,000 multiple times a day. The repetition here is key because as I was saying, like that's how you get into the subconscious. It is this persistence and repetition. It may not seem logical to write something 100 times a day, but that is the reality for getting you into your subconscious. So now, to reprogram the subconscious, we're going to want to use two faculties of our conscious mind, which we just discussed. And that's going to be your imagination and your will. So remember, feeling is the key for reaching your subconscious. So you want to use your imagination to bring up the feeling of having already accomplished your goal into the present moment. What would it feel like to accomplish your goal? Feel that way now as you're doing your autosuggestion. And then strive to maintain that feeling as much as you can throughout the day. And that's where your will comes in. Because you want to be continuing to think about your goals and the feeling that is associated with accomplishing them. And you want to use your will to not pay attention to those fearful thoughts when they come across. You only want to pay attention to the good thoughts, the positive thoughts. And this takes a lot of conscious effort in the beginning. However, the more you're able to persist in doing it, the more it becomes a subconscious habit and therefore it becomes automatic. Okay. Have you ever heard of the term acting as if?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what have you heard about it?
Just comments like, oh, she's acting as if she's the center of the universe, something like that.
Yeah. So it refers to you using your imagination to envision how your future self, who's already accomplished your goal, would feel and act. Then you want to bring that way of being into the present. And the same thing is with your will. You're going to be, the more persistent you are with this, the more natural that state of being becomes. And then that's who you do become. And then your results follow. But we want to make the internal change first. That's what gets people stuck. Like they're waiting for something in the world, the outside, to happen, and they're like, oh, then I'll change, or then I'll do this. It doesn't work like that. We want to change our state of being on the inside first, then the universe reacts to us and makes our change. So the purpose of autosuggestion and acting as if is a repetition of thoughts of accomplishing your goal and feeling. The purpose of it is the repetition of the thoughts of accomplishing your goal and feeling the associated feelings causes the belief to get into your subconscious and shift your subconscious belief. Again, the feeling is the key to reach your subconscious. And once your subconscious believes, your actions change automatically. No conscious effort is required on your part. There's no more of this acting as if. It's who you are. This is automatic. And of course, with your actions changing, this changes your results. Do you have any questions on this?
No questions, but I do have a comment.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, we were told about this, your number 2 point, about like saying something to yourself in front of the mirror or writing it down. I've heard of that before. And I tried doing it, but to be honest, it made me feel a little silly. So I didn't stick to it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And like I'm saying, this doesn't seem super logical. Like I said, like writing something down multiple times, saying something. However, that's where your will is going to come in, and you have to believe so strongly, like this is what's real. This is real, and you want to make your inside world more real than the outside world. And the more you're able to do it, the two do meet, and you're like, and this has happened. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's the experience that I've had in my life, and it has taken time and repetition. But now I'm like, okay, this works, and then I can just use it to create more new things. So it takes time, but that faith, your faith is going to be rewarded. What would you like repeat to yourself? How did that work?
No, I remember this was during when we were younger, like in grade 6.
Yeah.
Grade school. So we were told that when you wake up in the morning, you'll say to yourself that I am beautiful, I am this. So I felt silly, like looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am, they told us to write 5 things about yourself that you want to be, and you have to do that every day. I think I only did it for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel, it was kind of silly to me.
Yeah, definitely. In the beginning, that's totally natural. Like I said, just the more you're able to do it, And they always say if you're able to do something like 21 days in a row, that's how it becomes a
Mhm.
habit. That's how it gets into your subconscious. So again, it's just that persistence is the key, and the faith. The main thing is the faith. They're like, yes, I believe it. This is real. This is going to happen. And like I said, like I am beautiful. I am happy. I'm everything. You know, whatever I'm wanting, it's all coming to me, and everything's happening exactly how it's supposed to be. So that's
And also,
but
maybe age has something to do with it too, because when you're younger, um, you don't see these things that it has power, or maybe the idea of committing to something that you have to do every day.
definitely
Maybe that was a factor too.
that age is actually a big thing because I feel like just when we're growing up, the society we're raised in is always telling us like, oh, we're not enough, we got to do this, or we're, you know, this person's better than whatever. You know, it's rare because your subconscious is formed from the ages of 0 to 5. So like whatever you're around in that situation, like that's what's going directly in your subconscious mind. There's no time for anything. It just boom, boom, boom. So that's why, like, how life changing would be, like, if you had a baby, just fresh new baby, and you told him that he's the most beautiful person or whatever in the world, and that's all you told him, his confidence would just be sky high, no
Mm,
matter what he looked like. Because that's what his subconscious would believe, and his actions would demonstrate that.
yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on this slide?
No.
Okay. All right. So I want to kind of wrap things up with a relationship between your thoughts and your feeling, or thoughts and your results, excuse me. So your thoughts, what you think about, that determines how you feel. How you feel, that's what gets into your subconscious and therefore determines your actions. And your actions, of course, are what determines your results. Questions on that? Okay, cool. So my invitation to you is to become more aware of your thoughts. How often are you thinking about something that you don't want or that you don't have? There's no need to judge it. The first step is simply becoming aware. Then you want to work on shifting those thoughts to thinking about what you do want. Ralph Waldo Emerson put it clearly when he said, "We become what we think about all day long." How does that land with you?
Mm, I have a question about that. What if, for example, you think about sad things, but you try not to think about sad things. So your tendency is not to think about them, but don't you think that's a normal thing to kind of process?
Yeah, so that's where you want to use your will. If it's a negative thought or sad thought that's not serving you, that's where you use your will. Or you can use your perception ability, and that way that's a way you can put, and you sure have met people that are really gifted at putting a positive spin on anything. Almost everything in life, there's a way to put a positive on it and be like, oh well,
Yeah.
with this, but this happened because of it. And so that's another skill that you can build in yourself. Like there's all these things, maybe 99 things are wrong with this picture, but there's nothing that's good about it.
There's
And
that one thing.
yeah, exactly. And this is challenging because our society, I mean, if you ever watch the freaking news, like all they want to do is be negative, negative, negative and and scare you. And that's how a lot of people also, even conversations, like they say misery loves company because people just love to continue to talk about that. So that's where you want to use your will and your perception to put the positive spin on things. And if people are just continuing to pot about negative stuff and that kind of puts you in a negative vibe, that's when you just have to excuse yourself from that group and just, like
Yeah.
speak, like, hey, we're not flowing the way I want to go. Like, I'll talk to you guys later. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah. And on social media too. We all know that. Yeah.
Seriously, like, I mean, that's another thing. The news and social media, like, I'm just not too heavy on at least reading other people's stuff because unfortunately, and that's another thing where we've just been conditioned in our society, focus on the negative, focus on what's not working, what's bad.
Mhm.
Like, I just always envision, like, what would the world look like if we just focus on the positive,
Mm.
what is working, and made people feel good about what they do have instead of that constant, like, oh, you should have this, you could have more, whatever it may be. But
Yes,
that's
I
a big
agree.
picture. We're gonna start with just you and me, Jennifer, and
Yep, that's right. One person at a time.
yeah, that's so big. I mean, my ego wants to just be like, I want to get this person to every person in the world and change this way, but seriously, that's I'm so grateful that you're here and that you're taking in some of this information.
Oh yeah.
Just you and me. If just you and me change, and that's it forever. Like that's two more people than it ever was.
You
So
were able to help one person,
yeah, like
right?
this is just the very beginning. Like just planting a seed right now, Jennifer. And like I'm open lines of communication. If you ever have questions or something you're not sure about, please let me know. And
Mm,
also, like, please keep me posted on your success stories, on what's going well, what's working. Like, that's the stuff that like fuels me. Like, oh my God, like I mean, at Rubicon especially, like client success stories, and when I can unlock stuff in their minds, and they're starting to see the world differently.
right.
That's what motivates me so much to do what this is, and just create so much momentum for both of us. So I love just like I said, to stay in contact with you and just see how things are going. And we're gonna do this together because
Yep.
I'm here to support
Sounds
you.
good. Thank you. Also, because in our line of work, especially yours, right, you have direct contact to the customers
Yeah,
who may be not at the best time
yeah,
or in the best situation, right? So you actually see the success stories. I don't, but it's nice to hear those stories. So you kind of have the feeling that, hey, I'm making a difference.
yeah. And I was just gonna say, like you embodying like this new information and making these changes for yourself, like that's a success story that translates into other successes. Because people are gonna be like, oh wow, Jennifer's made a sudden change. Like she's killing it now. What? Like what? Like I'm curious. Like what is she doing? What's her secret? But you inspire them to take action. They're like, wow, Jennifer did. I want to be like Jennifer. And that inspiring that action with you not doing anything except being you, being awesome. Like that's what it's all about.
And I'll lead them to you.
That's me or you or anybody. Like I said, it's just the universe. We're all together, and it's just great to share the positivity and see people grow and be who they really are.
And I was just thinking about what you said about, thinking of the positive thoughts. I was thinking it's kind of like an anecdote, or people say things that I want to be around positive people.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody says that, right? I don't think anyone will ever refute that statement. But in reality, I don't think people realize that they can be a little bit negative. Just I'll give you an example. Like when people ask, how was your day? How was your day? I think to them, they feel like they're just sharing something bad that happened to them. But actually, they're not aware that they're very negative. So let's make it a little bit more realistic. Like for example, at work, if you have someone at work who's like that, who when you ask them like how has your day been, it always starts with something negative. So
Yeah,
it's like even if you want to remove yourself from that situation, you can't, because these are people you work with, right? These are
sure.
people that you have to talk to every day. So you have that. I have that presence of mind that I don't want to talk to this person anymore, but I have to be here.
Hmm.
So it's the struggle between the two, that I want to talk to positive people.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
they open? Like, if have you ever attempted to like maybe try to put a positive spin on what they're sharing or anything like that? Maybe shifting their way of looking at it.
No, what I do is I try to end the conversation.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, that's
Just try to end it.
yourself. But sometimes people that you're always around, like that's just like sometimes just like helpful ways to just get them again, just to look at it slightly differently, and then you'll hear those key words like, "Hey, I never thought of it that way," and then
Mhm.
boom, that just starts their process of change. But I
Or you
totally
try to change them too.
say it again.
You try to change them too.
No, you can't change somebody who's unwilling to change. And and they also probably are totally ignorant of the fact that they can change. And that's what's also very sad. People are not aware, like, what is possible for them. They've been conditioned to think like this and in that negative thinking. But you can just like gently suggest, like, oh, have you ever thought about it like this? and just like totally
Yeah.
leave that, like, you know, they may say like that's whatever, terrible, or they're not about that. It's like, okay. And that's when again you just excuse yourself. Um, but yeah, that's something that we're all working and changing, and it takes one person at a time. So just you and me, Jennifer, like I
Yep.
said,
I agree.
that more common until that is the common way of being. And oh my God, like how exciting that will be. So that's,
Yes, it is. So that's really good.
thank you. Yeah. Any other questions or comments about what's going on? Or anything you'd like me to talk about?
Um, well, I think that's good. Yep.
Did I cover your question? Kind of, you were kind of talking about the habits in the beginning. Was that?
Oh yeah. No, I thought you were gonna say, oh, that's why I have to continuously do that, like, do the exercise thing.
Yeah.
It's part of the subconscious, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how we get to the subconscious, through this repetition. It just
Yes.
consistently. That's why, like, I mean, I've gone through this information countless times, but I can't go through it enough. And that's how it gets deep inside. And that's, again, that becomes your way of being.
I think my worry about the repetition is I can't repeat it if I haven't even started it.
No, that's the first step, is getting started. So you just, like I said, like you just have, maybe write down a few of your goals, like just start with one or two, and just like say that thing, 10 times a day, something like that. Maybe write it 10 times a day.
Just
Whatever.
write it down first.
Yeah, exactly. Write it down, continue to write it down. And then it just becomes more and more, the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. And your way of being will shift as it reaches your subconscious. And then, as I was saying, like once you change, once the inside changes, the outside relates, and it does change as well. Because
So can you,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I was gonna say, because your subconscious is the master. Like that's what creates everything. As I said, that's 95% of everything you do is your subconscious. Like that's what's determining all your actions. So we gotta get that damn subconscious to understand what we want.
I know.
And that's
Yeah.
much easier said than done.
I was gonna say, but it's true. You have to start somewhere.
Yes, and it can be done, and it is done, and there's many people who are doing it amazingly. And so we just, like I said, and the first step is just getting started. Did you want to say something before I interrupted you?
Oh no, I was gonna say, if is there, because you said you tried this, right?
I
Can
do.
you share an example of something that you've tried and something that you had to write down every day and then it has worked for you?
Yeah, certainly. Actually, it's really my career with Rubicon. But so 2015 is when I came across this information. I read the book Think and Grow Rich. Have you heard of that before?
No,
That's a great read if you ever have time. It's by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich.
write it down.
Yeah, it's like it's almost a Bible to me. Like it really did start my journey toward this, and this is like where the auto suggestion practice came from, and everything forward. But anyway, at that time, I was working at Zipcar. I was in marketing, doing community manager, and it was an all right job. It was cool. Actually, God, I think I was the marketing coordinator. I wasn't even a community manager yet. Um, However, the big thing in Think Grow Rich is like you can, attract the wealth and attract the job that you want, the career that you want. So I had to get really clear on what I wanted from my career, writing down like specific things like, oh, I want to do something that empowers people, that I get to engage with people, that has coworkers, that has like flexibility, that I can connect from home, like I don't have to go in every day. And there's a few other things. So I wrote this down to myself. I wrote it down, and I repeated it to myself every morning, every evening. And I was pretty damn persistent and consistent at doing that. And I spoke it as kind of as I gave in the example, like, I'm so grateful now that I'm doing something that like maximizes my talents, that, I'm in one with the universe. I'm giving my gifts. And I just did that, for God. I mean, I still do this auto suggestion to this day. I'm working on different things now, but I did that. And then I put a date on it, because that's another thing that can help you. If you put a date, like, by December 14th, 2018, whatever it was, whatever it will be. And for the Rubicon job, for this job, so this was in 2015, and I gave myself 2.5 years basically to like kind of shift careers, move into something different. So I said like December 14th, which is my birthday, so it's just kind of a date I just enjoy. I said 2018, like I want to be working like in a dream job.
I see.
And then later in 16, like I got promoted at Zipcar, which was cool. Then I took this coach's training. Then I got hired at Zipcar at a Rubicon as the employment coach. And then a year after that, I was promoted to the career advisor, which I just am so grateful for every day. I feel it just lines up with my skills and everything so perfectly. And that happened in November of 2018.
Ooh, 1 month before.
Yeah, so like in the hindsight, I'm like, whoa, this works. Wow, oh my God. And then they're just like smaller things. And now like, I'm working on manifesting like my dream relationship. That's like another big priority for myself. So that's really where my auto suggestion is heavy on that. But mostly, like I said, it's just the repetition, doing it. And I have my faith is even stronger now. Like when I started out, I'm probably just like you, just kind of like, oh, this is silly. This can't be real. Like that's totally natural. And I was like, yeah, man, this is silly. And I was just doing it by myself. Nobody was knowing this. I kept this on on the low. But now that like I've experiencing the success and I've kind of dove deeper into all this information, I'm like, whoa, this is really how it works. Like, let's do it. And so I want to continue to keep it going.
That's very inspiring.
Thank you.
That's a good point too, though, when you said I should write down like a date or like a goal date. So you said yours was like 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, whatever the amount of time. And like I said, you can, if you want to start with something smaller, you can do that too. But whatever you feel, like that's the cool part. And that's the total freedom we have. Like we can choose whatever we want. And it's just very empowering because we really can create whatever we want. We just, the faith and the actions, they all line up.
Yay. That's very inspiring, Greg. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm so thankful, Jennifer, that you were here and we got to have this connection. And like I said, I'd love to keep in touch and just let me know if as questions come up or if you want me to go over something again, just let me know.
Okay, thank you, Greg. That sounds good.
Yeah. Would you like me to email you this PowerPoint?
Yeah, sure. I'll message you my email address.
Yeah, I was going to say, just message me the email address and then that'll be perfect.
Okay. Yay.
Jennifer.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Bye.